Santa Claus. Mad mistake is Santa Claus.
Grinch.
Don't believe in Christmas.
And we're live.
There you go. Just come up on my phone as a notification.
Oh, here we go.
All right. Good evening. Welcome along to another Thursday Night Live on SAFC Fan TV. Tonight with us, we've got Jacob, the Mad Mistake. We've got Dino. We've got Michael Bowers, myself, Weak Philly. And we're joined by Carl Mawson, the adopted Mackham, as he is on YouTube. And we're here tonight to discuss all things Sunderland. And we would like you lot to take part as well. If you want to go on the live chat, ask us anything you like within reason, and we'll do our best to try and answer that. Right, we've got to start tonight with the Williams story. There was the big event, what happened last night, where, of course, he went on to BBC Radio Newcastle, the Total Sport programme. We were gutted in a way because Sean tried to get an interview with him, but we had some technical issues with that, and so that didn't come about. So, me personally, initially, I didn't really have a lot of time for the guy. I thought he was a bit of a charlatan. I'll give you my opinion on him next. However, we'll start with Jacob, I suppose. Jacob, what do you think? Did you hear the interview last night?
Yeah, I did, to be fair. And some parts of it, I was quite skeptical about what he was saying. He goes on about he's got these investors lined up, but he's not prepared to say who these investors are, which I can imagine for financial reasons he won't. But at the same time, has he got any investors lined up at all, really, to be honest? And it's a bit weird how it's all just sort of come out of the blue the last few weeks. I know he's been linked, but how he's normally football owners would like keep it very guarded in terms of like their business and what they want of how they want to purchase a club. And
well, hang on, Jacob. I'll tell you what we'll do before we, rather than go into everything. What we'll do it in stages and sort of analyze what was said. So after hearing him on the radio, what are your views? Do you think he's a chancer? Do you think he's genuine or whatever? What's your views on that?
I would say, to be honest, listening to it back again this afternoon, I would go more of a chancer, to be honest. Like a lot of the things he did say, it sort of reminds you of a publicity stunt, really. I mean, there has been tweets this afternoon saying that the words he came out with.
Right. Okay. Well, let's not go into that. So you've got him down as a chancer. So you don't think he's genuine. Mad Mistake. In your new Sunderland top, looking very nice.
Thank you very much. I think everybody who comes into this situation, the way Stuart Donald and William Story come in, they are chances, aren't they? They're taking a chance. They're taking a chance with other people's money, with their own money, to see whether they can actually make the club successful and in the long run make a fortune when it gets back to the Premier League. He did sound very good. He sounds like a very intelligent bloke, comes across really well, and I have to believe that he's genuine. Otherwise, like I said before, what's the point? He must have backers. I mean, how many madmen are in the world altogether? Surely we can't have them all in Sunderland.
All right, so you have him down as you're a believer in him. You think right. You've got him down as genuine, yeah?
I'm 50-50. I'm not going to sit in the fence. I'm going to sort of you've got to believe in what he says anyway. There you go. I'm slightly more with him than against.
Right. Okay. Dino, did you hear the interview?
I haven't heard the interview, but I've seen something on the news just there. He was getting interviewed in the car on a video call. And the scary thing is he's wearing Sunderland tops. Like, I seen the photos of him on Twitter, like around the stadium. Someone said that was photoshopped, but clearly that's not photoshopped. Clearly he's at the stadium. To be honest, everyone's a chancer when they come into football. Technically, you're taking a chance on every club. But with him saying backers, I mean, it's good enough having backers, but what if the backers don't want to back you? it's good enough saying, oh, I've got backers loads of money, but ones if they say, oh, I'm not putting any money in. So do I believe it? I think he is probably another Stuart Donald. I don't know. People say I want Donald out, like people want Donald out at any cost, but is it at cost of William Story? I don't know much about the bloke, but I've heard the stories, and you can only go off the stories, really.
I see what you did there. I've heard the story. Go on. Hey. The thing is, Dino, I think if you'd heard the interview he did on the radio last night, it would give you different insight into him, I think. Anyway, move on to Michael. What do you think? Did you hear the interview?
Yes, I did hear it.
Or is he a chancer? Do you think he's the real deal?
He's either a chancer or he's genuine, but he's off his nut. I don't. You know what? Right. There were things that he said, and it's probably the typical thing. I liked a lot of things Charlie Methven said early doors. There were a lot of things that he said. There was a couple of things I actually really did agree with. One being Juan Sartori. I'm sure we might get onto that later, but Juan Sartori's basically done bought all at the club, even though he's basically just got drunk and smiled on camera a lot. That's all he's done. He hasn't really impacted the club. As far as William Story's concerned, I don't know. It's like Dino said, it's all good having the backer. If he did have the backers, and I do take this with a big pinch of salt here, because I tried to look at a bit of some of the issues with Haas in Formula One, and I'm not a Formula One fan, by the way, so people are going to have to correct me on that. I'm not, he's got a bit of a sketchy history, hasn't he? I think I think like what Terry said was spot on. I think he does speak quite well, and there were parts of it that did sound quite promising, but there were also parts that were, his track record and history doesn't fill you with the most amount of confidence. I wouldn't go as far as to write him off completely, like I've seen a lot of people do. But would I want him at the club? No, probably not. My choice would be FPP on that regard, even though they're not bothering to come out and haven't done for about a good part of a year. But as far as Story's concerned, yeah, I'm just bad story, bad press. He's wanting to basically get. I think he's kind of wanting to get himself into the limelight and trying to make himself look as good as possible. Now, if he does, I mean, we're hearing reports from journalists that this is wide of the mark anyway, and it looks unlikely that he's going to take over. If he does, and he proves people wrong, fair play to the guy. But
have you got him down? Have you got him down as the real deal, or is he just a time waster?
I think he's genuine in his own mind, but I'd have him down as a time waster at the minute. I don't think there's much in him.
Okay, doke. The adopted Mackem, what do you think?
Geez, how can I put it? Absolute wheeler dealer. Haas F1, that was the biggest mess up in Formula One, especially when William took over. Haas is arguing over the price tag. It should have been $60 million, but William's saying it's $35 million. Do I think it'll be good for us? No. Nah. Sorry, but I'm going with Mikey here. I don't want him in the club. I think he'll just be there for 6 months, put us in the ground, then do a runner.
Right. Well, where I stand on it. Before I do, I want to keep including the people on the live chat. David Walker thinks he's a big chancer. I want to give a mention to Ryan Cockton, who keeps mentioning it. He's asking where Sean is. The story with Sean is Sean's said he wants to take a break from doing the Thursday live thing at the moment. So if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. We've seen Ryan's been very active on Twitter saying that he doesn't watch us anymore because Sean's not on. But for some reason, somebody must have hacked his account because he's on the live chat, so he must be watching. So apologies to you, Ryan, if it's not good enough without Sean. Anyway, William Story, for me, I had him down as this chancer, this joke figure and what have you. What I took umbrage to, I listened to the interview last night, and I thought he came across very well, very well. I really did. Now, maybe I'm just gullible or whatever, but he seemed to answer all the questions. There are one or two discrepancies in there, which we'll come to later. But before we let you all back in on it, I want to show you this. And when Stuart Donald mentioned about how he blamed the fans for making it hard to sell the club. All right, this guy is just, you know, he's not even got his foot in the door yet if he is. And there was this, I don't even say that, right? So it says unwanted, William, the bankrupt kid, dead or alive. And then it says, please go away, right? So you got stuff like that. Nobody, what happens? What happens if this guy is the genuine real deal, right? And he's not a chance. And we don't know, but you got people like this, right, putting stuff out already. And he could be the real deal and nobody knows, right? And you could chase him away and it could be the best thing what could have happened to us. Dino, you was trying to get in there.
Yeah, when you were saying about he speaks well in that, but we've already had this with Stuart Donald and Charlie Methven when they first came in. They spoke well, they answered all the questions, like what we wanted to hear, and then look what happened.
Absolutely, absolutely. It could all be a front, you know, and it could just be one massive big con. But before I heard the interview, I didn't really have any time for the guy. However, I liked what he said. Now there's people ripping it apart already, and these are the people who want to go. If he does generally buy the club, and then it goes tits up, they're the ones who want to go, I told you so, I knew right from the off. But they'll be very, if he bought it and it was successful, then they wouldn't be shouting from the rooftops about how they complained initially. Mad Mistake?
I bet these people are the same people who welcomed Stuart Donald and Charlie Methven in with open arms.
Well, exactly. It's, there was a couple of little things, what he said, what I thought, I don't know, but mostly, and for me, what backed it up was when there was then the photos later on social media of him at the Roco Hotel, and Jim Rodwell was there as well. Now, if there's nothing in this, then why is Jim Rodwell turning up there? Now, it might have been a coincidence that they were both there at the same time, but it just, you know, there could be something in it. Jacob, you wanting to get in there?
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to say, I think that photo you showed, Phil, I think that's completely unacceptable. I mean, he's not personally like being given the full chance yet, although we don't know whether what he's saying is true. But at the same time, us fans have got to like stick together in this situation, and we have to just leave it to the professional people who understand the finances, understand the ownership rules when it comes to football, of owning a football club, and just let them carry on with it. Really, if they don't think he's the right guy, fair enough. But if they truly believe that he's the right man to take this club in the right direction, then we've all got to back that decision.
Now, we did say last night that his bid is the highest bid, or highest offer out of everybody on the table by a long way. Now, if he buys the club, where's he getting that money from? He hasn't got that money. So obviously the backers have got that money that's given that money to buy the club.
But he's already said, right, if we concentrate now on the backers, in that interview, he said he's got 4 backers who were well-known. Everyone will know who they are. The well-known names. 2 are in this, like the sporting industry, and the other 2 are sort of financial whiz kids, if you like. Now, he's saying that 85% of the revenue is going to come from these backers. To be fair, he was questioned on, he was asked who they were, but if there is this this NDA, what's going on, or what's that word you was trying to get out last night, Mad Mistake?
Can't remember what it was now.
An exclusive,
exclusivity.
Yeah.
Hey.
Now, that's either, it could be convenient for him because he then doesn't have to reveal anything, because he can say, I can't say anything because there's an agreement with the club. So that could have been convenient, or it's the truth. I'd love to tell you. I mean, didn't he say he's got 4 aces and he wants to play his hand, and he's dying to do it to show you what he's actually got, but because of the deal with the club at the moment, he can't do that. So do we believe he's got these baggers? Jacob, you're trying to get in again.
Yeah, the difference I would say with the situation now with William Storey wanting to buy the club, it felt like when Stuart Donald came in, it was sort of, he was selected in a way, even though he did put a bid on the table. Ellis Short like wanted him, like he felt he was the right man in terms of like what he had in place. But this time we're on about a football owner reaching out to us and saying, I'm truly the real deal. And I don't think we've ever seen that before. Like, but obviously financial times have changed in the game in terms of football ownership, but I'm still very skeptical. It's all about, is this guy the real deal? We need to like find out more.
Well, I was, I mean, Mad Mistake touched on it there about him saying that he's got the highest deal, the highest bid on the table. Now, I did say there was a couple of discrepancies in his interview for me. Is there's no way he would know if he had the highest bid or not.
Exactly.
It's not, you know, that's not how you do business. You don't put all your cards on the table, you know. So how does he know he's got the biggest deal, you know, on the table? So that was one discrepancy. Dino?
On the news today, it actually said that Stuart Donald's in advanced talks with somebody else. So you might have the highest bid, but is William Storey in advanced talks? I don't think so. I don't know. Is he?
Well, this is it. We don't know, because of the simple fact is the club have not revealed anything. They said that they've got this, what's the word I'm looking for again, Mad Mistake?
Exclusivity.
Right, with whoever they're talking to. So nothing's being said. Now, that person could be William Storey. It may not be. But I just thought this thing of when Jim Rodwell turned up at the Roker Hotel last night, right? Was that a case of, let's say the William Storey thing was just a load of bullshit, right? And he was just spouting his mouth off. However, on the radio, him saying, I've got all this money and I've got the biggest bid and what have you. Who's to say that Stuart Donald and Jim Rodwell's not been listening to that and have gone, yeah, we're talking to somebody. But if Stuart Donald wants out of this club, he'll want the best deal he can get. Who's to say that Stuart Donald's not said to Jim Rodwell, get yourself down to the Roker Hotel, go and speak to this guy. Don't let it, you know, if he is a waste of time, fair enough, but he may not be. So, I don't know, there's just, he mentioned about, the other thing what didn't sit good with me in the interview was he mentioned about the salary cap, because he was on about getting all these brilliant players in and whatever. And I think it was Nick Barnes or one of them said about, but what about the salary cap? Now he said, more or less, we'll get around that. But then said, but in a legal way. That was, has anybody got any views on that? That's not something it's basically saying you're going to break the rules. Well, you're going to find a loophole in the rules.
I think he's just banking. Is he not just banking on that not going through? For being unlawful.
Well, this is what we're trying to we're trying to decipher. What was mentioned was before the William Storey thing happened yesterday, in the week since we were on here last week, Juan Sartori, or whatever his name is, was rumored to be the one sort of being interested in being this new buyer. Anybody got any thoughts on that? Do you think that's Jacob?
To be honest, obviously I don't want everyone to take this in a bad way. I see it being a load of nonsense, to be honest. It feels like what's Juan Sartori contributed to the club being an investor in the Stuart Donald era. Why should we trust in what he's saying now? I don't believe it at all, personally.
The thing what hit home to me was when it was announced through whatever medium, it said that there would be the redistribution of the shares, right? So it basically says, and I think the Mad Mistake touched on this in his vlog yesterday. It would look as though if Juan Sartori took over, that Stuart Donald would still keep a small share, and I don't think that would go down very well with supporters. Before you come in, Mad Mistake, Michael's trying to get in there.
Yeah, well, basically what Jacob said about Juan Sartori is spot on. And again, check the YouTuber Thane SCFC, because he's safe to say he'll probably be in the live chat right now. He's not a big fan of Juan Sartori either. For me, I don't particularly view it as nonsense. I actually think this is probably what the deal's going to be. But again, once away. So if you look at it, Juan Sartori, yeah, he does all the happy smiley shit on camera, but he basically is here for a year, disappears, and then conveniently comes in when the club's up for sale. No, where have you been? I know you've had the presidential election in Uruguay, but surely, I'm sure that ended probably a year ago, months and months ago. Didn't Charlie Methven come out and say, now again, you can take this with a pinch of salt if you want, but Charlie Methven basically said, Juan Sartori is going to have a more active role. Still waiting, mate. What have you done? What have you done? You've come in and claimed you're going to get a bunch of Uruguayan connections into the academy. Bollocks. Nothing's happened with that since. The academy's got worse, not better. Then you come in and say, now we're hearing these rumours that he's coming and paid £1 for 20% of the club. Well, come on then, tell us what you're paying then. And Madrox and Stuart Donald are claiming he's pumped money into the club. Show us the evidence. How much has he put in, and what's he put in for? Come on, we need to know these things. This is the stake of our club here we're talking about. You can make all you want about William Story, but Juan Sartori is just not enough people. And I'm not taking this as a dig against anybody, because I was like this myself. Juan Sartori's got away very lightly with a lot of fans giving him scrutiny and questions, because he's got quite a bit to answer for as well. He's got this father-in-law who's connection with Monaco. Well, come on then, what's happened with that? I'm going to get too annoyed here, so just someone else take it.
Mad Mistake, you was one to jump in there.
I just think that Stu Donald's a businessman. Why would he sell all of his shares now in League One when he could possibly make an absolutely fortune, a lot more money, if we got promoted under somebody else into the Premiership in a few years' time? If he keeps 10% of his shares now and then sells that in a few years' time when we're in the Premier League, he'll make a lot more money. He's a businessman. He'll take a back seat. For me, he's trying to find some way to have some shares still at this club, whether it's 10%, whether it's 5%. He still wants one of his fingers in this pie. And the only way someone like William Story will actually take over is if it's the last resort. And they obviously don't want Stu Donald at all at the club. That's the only way. That's going to be the last resort for someone like him to take over, because then Stu Donald has to go altogether.
Let me put a question to all of you then. So let's say that was the deal, and Sartori took over, and they redistributed the shares, and Stuart Donald hung on to some of these shares, whatever percentage it was, 5, 10, whatever it was. Would you have a problem with that? Adopted Mackham, would you have a problem with someone else running the club, yet Stuart Donald being a minor shareholder?
Yeah, big time, because if this advanced talks, what Stuart Donald is saying is actually Sartori, then Stuart Donald's still raking in money from us, and Sartori's literally paying little bits, and we're not going to get the investment and the players what we need. So it's got to be bad. I'd rather have someone else who's in, get Sartori out, get Donald out, done deal.
All right, well, let me say, I mean, I agree. I think it should be a clean sweep across the board. Mm-hmm. But, if Stuart Donald was still part of the club as a minor shareholder, though he was basically like a silent partner, didn't have any involvement in it, would that be a problem, Michael?
It depends on who this new owner is. If it's Satori, well then it's basically nothing different from what we had before. It's just roles are reversed, basically.
And are you saying that Stuart Donald would be pulling Satori's strings then? Is that what you think?
I don't know. I don't know what to think at the minute. I'm just kind of, again, if Satori comes in, buys the majority of the shares, again, it's rules reversed because Satori might as well have been a silent partner before, even though he had all these false promises that he didn't deliver on. You know, he was basically in the background behind the scenes while Donald and Methven were at the front of things. Now, this seems to me is if Satori comes in, it's basically rules reversed. Satori's going to probably be a majority shareholder. Is that we might have Donald speak on his behalf? I don't know. I don't know what the, you know, but what I want to know is, again, who. And I know everyone does. I want to know who this alleged advanced talks buyer is. I mean, we haven't had any indication on who it's going to be. Now, can we say that through non-disclosure agreement? In which case, no wonder we haven't said it. I don't know. I honestly could not tell you anything at the minute. And to be honest, quite frankly, I'm kind of just sick of the whole takeover talk because it's, you know, we're not hearing barely anything that can be regarded as concrete at the moment. And anything that could be concrete, we're not hearing about. So I don't know.
Sorry, Dino, would you have a problem if it was sold and Stuart Donald was still part of the club?
Well, I look at it this way: if it's Satori, obviously he'll get the 85% of what Donald's got. Donald will probably go down to 15 or 10, whatever it was, and then Charlie Benford would be the 5. But if Satori's got a backbone, if, say, Stuart Donald still tries to pull the strings, Satori can say, well, no, I'm the majority shareholder, you just sit back and do nout. But if William Story took over and Donald wanted a few shares, well, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? I don't get how a person can hold on to shares but not invest in the club. Like, I would be expecting them to put money in. I mean, you can't just keep 10% and say, I'm not putting anything in and wait for something to be bought. You've got to invest as well. There must be a contract saying if you don't put some money in, you can't just be released and you've got no more shareholders.
No,
maybe.
You can be a shareholder. It doesn't mean you have to still put money in. You've invested. You've bought those shares. Quickly, Mail will come back to you because
that's fine. Go
Mad
for it.
Mistake. Stuart Donald staying at the club.
If Stuart Donald stays at the club with, say, let's pretend 10% and Satori has, say, 90% or 85%, there's no way in the world Stuart Donald's pulling his strings. Satori's his own man. He wanted to be president of Uruguay. If you're that, there's just no way in the world Donald will be pulling any strings at all. Satori will be in charge of the club. Full stop. Going to be there.
Right. So if that happened and he was in charge, would you have a problem then, Stuart Donald still being here as a minor shareholder?
Yes, because I want them all out.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Quickly, Jacob. Then we'll go back to Michael.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if Satori takes full control. I doubt that he will be attending most of the games during the season. It will sort of be like he'll take full control, but then he'll get like a few handymen, a bit like how Ellis Short did with Martin Bain to do his work for him whilst he's all over the world doing other business. That's how I think it's going to go. I just don't trust the guy at all. I just feel he'll drag the club completely the wrong way from the way we want to go. In terms of investment, even if this deal does go through, I think it will go through too late because we need players in before the start of the season. Do I trust him to bring in the right recruitment team? Potentially through South American connections, he may have, but we should have had that before if he was like as part of the board, and we didn't see that. That's what a lot of fans did predict at the time when Donald brought him in. But yes, it's all just up in the air. And Juan Satori, I just don't think he's the answer. I'm sorry.
Quick question then. Quick question. So would you rather have Satori or William Story?
Oh,
is this a tongue twister? This Dino. Satori or Story? Dodori.
Story, wouldn't we? Like,
who would you rather have?
Neither.
But you've got to have one.
I've got to have one now. Oh,
yes,
God.
you have to. Otherwise, Dino's going to kick your head in.
Oh dear.
Well,
Um,
I'll give Jacob time to decide here. What my point was going to be was, if Stuart Donald's trying to pull anyone's strings, okay, you can give the 20 million back into the club that you took out of it. As far as the Story or Satori, Dino, have you asked this just because those two names rhyme with each other?
No,
Can we
no,
just
because we're complaining about Story, but now we're complaining about Statori. So
Okay, here's me.
if them two are on the talks, who do you want?
FPP. There you go. There's my answer.
No, that's not an option.
Listen, let me quickly jump
I know
in.
I'm just getting
The-
around it. The loophole.
The thing is, right? I think the worst case scenario, what could come out of this, is if Satori was the man who bought the club, because I think Stuart Donald would still have
be hanging on.
there's some sort. It's got to be. I would rather have William Story come in, right, than Juan Satori, because I think it needs to be with the new owner. It needs to be a clean sweep. It needs to be everybody out, right? So there's it's like a fresh start. And you know, I'd be willing. From what I've heard at the moment from William Story, if he was the real deal, it's exciting, you know, but there's a lot of stories about him being a chancer. Mad Mistake.
I would rather have Story than Satori. Now, this is what I think. If there was anybody else involved, something somewhere would have been leaked out. I think because if it's Satori and it's Matt Methven and it's Donald, they can keep it all together in a hush-hush, so it's very quiet. Stories already came out and said he wants to buy the club. If there was anybody else involved, I think something would have been leaked out somewhere along the line. Somebody would have opened their mouth because it's so quiet that makes us think it's staying in house.
Well, that also verifies what was said about the due diligence process, if I can say the word, on how Nick Barnes said in his interview. That didn't seem to be a problem, which then indicated it was somebody already sort of in-house, which would, again, point to Juan Satori. Before we go on, I want to give a shout out to Nigel Dunn, who's a friend of the show, backs us a lot. He's contributing a bit on the chat. Chris Scott asked the question on our social media then. Is William Story a bigger chancer than Stuart Donald? Yes or no? Adopted Magam?
Is William Story a bigger chancer than Stuart Donald? Stuart Donald's more of a bigger chancer, really. So I would, and going back to Dino's question, I will take, if Story's for real deal, I will take Story. Easy.
So you think Stuart Donald's a bigger chancer, yes?
Yeah, big time.
Michael?
At the minute, Stuart Donald, but that's because he's the chancer I know. That's
Yes.
it.
Yes.
By default, that is literally the that's the only way that I can put up with it. Okay, I'm gonna follow what Carl said, and I'm gonna try and answer Dino's question, because I know obviously I tried to do a loophole around it and say FPT. I would say that this all depends on this. If Story's backers are genuine and they've actually something in that, I would pick Story, but that's by that much. I'd rather have neither of them. But there you go. So there you go. There's the answer.
Dino?
The worst thing about that question is who's the bigger chancer. So you're basically seeing the both chancers, which is not good at all. Do you know what I mean? But biggest chancer is probably Donald, because he took a chance from going from Eastleigh to Sunderland. But William Story's went from Formula One to football. So if anything, the both is just as bad as each other, because they're both jumping different levels, going from Formula One, a different sport, to football, and then going from a League Two club or a non-league club to a League One club like us. Both of them are just as big as chances as others, really, but it just depends on who's got the best backing.
Jacob?
Yeah, touching on what Dino said about who's the bigger chancer, when it comes to Stuart Donald, you have to remember also he allowed Netflix cameras to follow him for a full season, as well as coming from a non-league club straight to a massive club like Sunderland, and in his first season for him to allow like so much accessibility around behind the scenes at the football club in terms of like the financial dealings and what was said, I would say Donald, because like I felt he enjoyed a lot more of the attention in terms of the things he came across, the things he said on the Netflix series. And I feel with Story, yeah, obviously he went on the radio last night, but that's just obviously he just wants to put his name out there. So yeah, I would say Stuart Donald.
Quickly, Dino, then we'll let the Mad Mistake in.
So do you reckon there's going to be a Netflix season 3 then with Story, because Story seems to like the attention a lot as well? So do you reckon that'll be a funny one? That'll be a mad one.
Theme tune by ZZ Top. Could be, couldn't it? Mad Mistake?
What?
Have you not heard the question? I forgot what it was, to be honest. Is William Story a bigger chancer than Stuart Donald?
All right, no. Donald's a bigger chancer. I think William Story is obviously started off with nothing, and he's built himself up, doing different things, and I think he's found a window of opportunity. He's made contacts over the years, and he's obviously found 4 backers with wads of cash that's going to back William Story to take over from Sunderland and move them into the Premier League. That's his vision. Now, whether it's all in his head, we don't know, but I think Donald is a bigger chancer because Donald played his cards. He wanted to get Sunderland promoted the first time of asking, the first season, and he failed, and he lost his chance to make millions.
Well, just very quickly, we'll go to the chat down here. David Walker, who's on a lot. Thanks for your support watching the show. Donald will get lots of hassle from the fans if they just jig around the shares, which is probably very true. Rob, SAFC, says if it's one, nothing will change. Very possibly. And Crichton, football presenter. The only interesting part of Satori taking over would be if he involved his billionaire father-in-law who runs Monaco. Now, you know, we all know of his billionaire father-in-law. But again, back to William Story, right? We know not if he's the real deal and these backers, you know, are true. Who's to say that they're not multi-billionaires, all 4 of them? Dr. Mackham, you're trying to get in there.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Terry or Jacob who mentioned about Suntory's father-in-law being linked with Monaco and all the money. But where is all the money? If he's got such an influence father-in-law, where's the money? Where's the money to help us to push to rebuild our academy, get the youngsters up, get the players what we want, and boost us up to where we need to be?
Well, who's to say? Before we answer that, Mo Laws is saying that they've heard that Michael Bowers is buying us with his overtime bonuses.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I'm in a period. I'm sorry. I'm in a period of exclusivity. I've signed a non-disclosure agreement.
Right. Okay. Well, in answer to your question, Adopted Mackham, to say that Juan Satori's father-in-law hasn't invested because he's only a 20% shareholder. Who's to say that if Satori became the major shareholder, that he wouldn't then sort of invest in him? For me, I don't like the thought of going down that route because I think it's the worst case scenario, even from William Story taking over. I think Juan Satori just keeps us in the same boat we're in. It's as simple as that. And I think it just needs to be a clean sweep as far as I'm concerned.
The only way I'd have Juan Satori at the club is if he had 100% and the whole of the club, and he wanted to run it his own way, with his own style, with his own backers. If that's his father-in-law billionaire who wants to support him 100%, then. But I don't want no lingering on. I want Charlie Methven out. I want Donald out. Full stop. They're the 2 I want out. Full stop.
Yeah, you're right. It's the lesser of two evils. If he had 100%, then yeah. But I just think there'll still be that link to this regime we're in now, and I think it just needs a clean break. Dino?
I'm usually a bit scared with the Sunderland social media at the minute because obviously we've signed two players, Aidan O'Brien and who's that? Was it a defender we bought? Who was it?
Bailey Wright.
And Bailey Wright, right? But we're seeing photos of players who haven't been announced, but they're at the train. Like there's that Dimitri Mitchell. I mean, isn't Sunderland being run a bit like a shit show at the minute with the fact that we're not making signings, but we've got players training at our academy, but they haven't been announced as signings yet? I mean, is that a massive mix-up, or like, are you not like worried about what the hell is going on?
Anybody?
I think
It's a little bit puzzling. I can understand what Dino's saying, but we should get clarity on that very soon, I would say. I mean,
Is that actually Mitchell? Is that actually Dimitri Mitchell?
Are you referring to the person who was quick and rapid down the left wing in the training video? Yeah, I think.
yeah.
See, to me, I think we'll probably end up because of this stupid salary cap. That mean we can't get, say, Luke Garbett, who was a target. We can't get him now by the looks of it. We'll probably end up signing Dimitri Mitchell anyway. But it's quite natural for some players just to go to certain clubs, train with them, and then not sign. But I do get the point you're making. That I think they must have trained with us a couple of weeks now. And really, as the start of the season's only a month away, we need to start making progress on getting the nucleus of our side together. But then again, what's I'll ask you a question. What's going on with this PFA thing? This unlawful enforcement? Are they appealing the salary cap, or is there a chance it could get overturned?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're stopping a player playing in League One, earning as much money as he possibly can from a League One club. I mean, a Championship team might not take him, but he can earn a canny bit of money in League One with a certain team like us. But we can only offer him, say, $2,000 a week, even though before the salary cap we could have offered him $4,000. So they're robbing him of more money because of the salary cap, because it's only from League One below and not Championship. So a Championship team might not want him, but a League One does. But he doesn't want to take the wage cut. So you're basically taking money off a player. You're robbing him blind of a living in League One.
I must
And
admit,
the EFL are supposed to have talks with the PFA when changing these kind of things.
I must admit, the way you put it there, Dino, I mean, there must be a very strong case for having it overturned. It's like, it's, everybody should be able to equally earn. Yeah, it's like saying that you're not allowed to earn as another footballer because of the league you're in, sort of thing. Michael?
I was going to say, basically, I mentioned on my own video that basically expecting Sunderland to operate like, say, Accrington and Stanley is like, it's like going to Liverpool and Man City. Right, you earn a lot more money, but you're going to spend money like Burnley do and Brighton do. It's not fair, is it?
Michael, why can't we sign Luke Garbett? So does that mean he has to go to the Championship?
No,
Well,
because if it's one of them.
Well, put it this way. I think this is just based on. I think Sunderland have got their new podcast. Is it called SCFC Unfiltered? Something like that. But anyway,
Oh, yes,
apparently Phil Parkinson, and this I've just seen journalists quote this, that apparently a number of players that we thought we could get are apparently not in our marketplace now. Now I'm just taking that to mean Luke Garbett and Scott Fraser. Look, we've talked about Marcus Maddison. If this cap's in place, it looked unlikely before. There's no chance of that now. Whereas Garbett and Fraser I actually thought we could realistically get. So if this salary cap is the thing that stopped us from getting those players, I'm not happy. I'm absolutely livid at that.
Or it could be the case that they've potentially been on trial and Parkinson's looked at them and think, nah, you're not really in my plans. We think we can look better elsewhere. That could be.
But we haven't heard anything about Garbett and Fraser being on trial, though, have we? We would have seen it.
The club would normally try to keep that under wraps, I would say. But
Adopted Malcolm, you're trying to get in there?
Yeah, the Dimitri Mitchell situation, he was released by Manchester United, so he's come over to Sunderland on a trial. He's really good at a youngster down the wing, so if Sunderland can get him, that'll be absolutely fantastic. Just quoting my stepdad, who's a massive Sunderland fan, he's been supporting the club for 40 years. He literally saw this story about the salary cap, and he said it is absolutely ridiculous how League One is capped at 2.5 million, but the Championship is capped at 18 million. How is the EFL saying that is fair and will do that? No wonder the PFA is appealing it.
Well, it sounds like it's probably got a good chance of being overturned. I mean, fingers crossed. Hopefully, as us as a club,
the timing
like
of it was very strange, though, wasn't it? How if you were going to put this in place, why not do it at the beginning of the year, like preparing for the next season?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing it smack bang in the middle of the transfer window.
Done it this way.
Well, that's another. It's probably another case for they've tried to quickly whip it in there because they probably know it's unlawful. Quickly before we go on, I want to go back to the live chat at the moment. Ian Smith saying Dave Jones off Sky has gone very quiet. Apparently, you're not hearing anything from him. Stu Shaw is wanting to know what's happened to Mickey Gray and co and the possible takeover, because again, that's gone very quiet. But who's to say that's not the buyer that they're in with at the moment? As there's Mad Mistake shaking his head, and quite rightly, because Mickey Gray's thoughts on Stuart Donald. I don't think Stuart Donald would even entertain him. And Mo Laws again has said Story and Satori both belong on Chakanori. Woo! I like that. That's what I like. Right. I'd quickly like to move on to, as you can see, the Mad Mistake is the richest out of all of us because he's the one in these hard times who's managed to get the brand new Sunderland top. Now, on the social media, Anthony Perth asked the question about the new strip. Obviously, the Mad Mistake's got it there, so he can give us a bit of a rundown on it. But the club crest is not embroidered. It's just actually like an iron-on transfer. Is that right? It's not embroidered, no?
No, not embroidered.
That's a big no-no for me. I've got to say, they've always, even when the training tops went to the iron-on stuff, at least they still kept the embroidered badge on the football strip.
So the badge on?
The what?
Can you not throw the badge on top of it?
It's not the point, Jacob. It's it's 50 quid or 50 quid, and you've got to buy a badge to sew on. No, I don't think so. Mad Mistake. How is the new top?
It is very nice, and I do have a video coming out on my channel tonight to explain all about the shirt. But it is a nice shirt. It's one of the better ones I've seen over the years. I do like the 16-17 shirt better.
Yeah, I like that.
But this is a good runner-up. I do like the back as well. It's a bit like England.
To be honest, Mad Mistake, we prefer the back to your front, to be honest. Hey! So, lads, what do you think of it then, Michael?
I like it. I think it's the best home shirt we've had since we've dropped out of the Premier League. And this is someone I usually do prefer our away kits to our home ones. I could easily afford to buy it, but I'm just too much of a stingy tight arse because there's no way I want to pay 50 quid for a top, especially when we're in League One. I usually, if I'm buying shirts later on, I usually wait until they go down to a sale price and then get them. But no, I like the look of it. I like the collar. I like the way the sleeves are designed. I like the Nike logo. I mean, obviously, yeah, the club crest should be, like sewed on automatically to the shirt. You shouldn't be having to pay extra for it, really. But hey, there's a Mad Mistake model in it. Man, Terry, have you ever thought of getting yourself a job as a model?
Only if my face wasn't in.
model your football toss. Although, can I just point out, I do find it very convenient that the sponsor, I think, is it Great Annual Savings. Isn't it quite funny? We're having to save money on the salary cap and we're trying to get players in cheaper, and our sponsor, Great Annual Savings. Just thought that was a bit of a side note.
Adopted Macam, what do you think about the new strip?
I kind of like it. The collar looks great. I've got to admit, it is one of the best shirts that I've actually seen. apart from the 16-17 home kit, because that one is absolutely beautiful. But 50 quid for new Sunderland shirt without it being embroidered. I'm sorry, but embroidered for me all the way. I will never take a sticker. But if it was embroidered, I would buy it in a heartbeat.
Dino, what do you think of it?
It's red and white. I mean,
Shut up, Dino.
I've always said, I don't care what the strip looks like. I want a good team on the football pitch.
Yeah.
It looks the same every year. It's red and white. It's got the stripes. It's just a different sponsor, and sometimes it's either Nike or Adidas, but it's always the same. It's always red and white. So
Dino, do you not then? I don't know if it's just me being daft, but you know, days before it's due to be released and what it looks like, and you're like, oh, I cannot wait to see it. Do you not get that excitement?
No, I don't,
because you just say it's going to be red and white.
It's going to be red, white, and stripy like it always has been.
Oh my God!
The away kit's always the one I look forward to because that's always different. Like the one you've got on, I like the one you've got on. I like the blue one the Dr. Macklin's got on. I'll always like the away kits. The home kit's always the same. It's just a little bit different for the logos and Nikes and stuff. But I just want to see a better team on the pitch. It's no good looking good if you're playing shit football. You know what I mean?
I know, but what the problem with us is we've been shit on the field and we've had a shit strip, so that's been like double shit.
I don't believe it.
Anyway,
yeah, but surely,
Jacob, what do you think of the strip then?
Like I said last week, Nike have done a fantastic job. Very nice looking shirt, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the away kit's going to be like now. If it's what we've seen with, is it Aidan O'Brien was pictured? Yeah. If it's that, then yes, it's a pretty decent top. To be fair, I do like the red collar on it on the photo that we've seen. But congratulations to Nike for doing a brilliant job.
It's it's likely to be the one that's been leaked. I mean, it was one of our players wearing it and stuff like that. I think it's all right. I think it's a funny shade of blue. I think it should have been like a darker blue. And I'm not too sure about the red color, to be honest.
No, I'm not either.
Dino?
Can I ask, because obviously we're coming to a close, I just want to ask a question. Are you not worried about the state the team's in right now with the players we've got? Are you not worried for next season? Because the longer the takeover goes on, the less likely we are to sign players. And I'm really worried. I mean, we've still got technically one right back in McLaughlin. We've only got 2-3 centre backs. I mean, we've got loads of centre midfielders, and the wingers aren't exactly great what we've got, and we're lacking depth everywhere. Are you not worried for next season, like the season coming up now?
Michael?
Well, one thing I was going to respond to that with, I know that the transfer window didn't open until I think the 28th of July or whatever it was, whatever day it was, the last Monday of July was when it opened. Do you not think Sunderland should have been a bit more proactive and tried to push deals for getting them over the line before then, the previous few weeks of July? Now, if anyone says, oh, but the window wasn't open, I looked this up. Bristol Rovers signed their first player on the 1st of July, and Blackpool signed their first player on the 18th of July. I think I might have got that the wrong way around, but it was definitely those two dates for those two clubs. So why didn't Sunderland push the boat out for deals like this beforehand? And I know people can come back with me and say, these players were looking for championship moves and they're waiting to see what happens with the championship. To that, I counter with, Norwich were able to sign about 3 or 4 players before the Premier League season finished. Clubs have been able to sign players for weeks before the season finished. Now, if these players were really that in demand for the Championship, wouldn't they have earned the move mid-July, even when the season was still going on? So I just don't know. That's just my response to it. That's all.
Anybody else adopted Magma? Are you worried about the team?
I literally said on one of my videos, if we get the Tom Flanagan signature, then we are just gonna boost our way into signings, strengthen the club, and all we got is 2. All we got is Aidan O'Brien and Bailey Wright. And I thought, yes, we're going in, we're going to get them. And then we stopped. We literally stopped as soon as they said salary cap. My work colleague, David Malibone, he even said that we are going to struggle unless we get players. And I'm literally, I don't know. I
Well,
don't
you
know.
see, it's stopped.
I'm lost for words.
You know, it could be, you know, the salary cap thing. It could be the sale going through for whatever reason. I don't know. Mad Mistake, worried about the team at the moment?
Not really. I think if we get another keeper, a left back and a centre back, we've got abundance in midfield. We move the captaincy from Max Power to Bailey Wright. I think we probably get away with the forward line, to be honest, at a push.
I think we could.
It's no worse than last season. I think it's improved. I think Will Grigg stays, he'll be a better player this season, full stop. I think we definitely need 3 players at least, but if we get 3 players, I'll be quite content at the start of the season.
I think we'd make the top 6 at the minute. I think we, but unless you win the, but no, see, Jacob's going like that, but like the rest of the league's not improving either. So
No.
like,
I don't care though about what other teams are doing. All I'm focused is about what we do.
You've missed the point of what I'm doing. Everyone's degrading our chances. So how all of a sudden have other teams got a better chance than us? We've got Aidan O'Brien, who's played regular. I'm not saying we definitely will, by the way, but people say that we're going to struggle. Well, we might do, but I don't agree with that. I think that the squad we've got at the minute, top 6 quality, but unless you win the playoffs, that isn't good enough. You've got to go to the top 2, and that's it.
Look who's coming down though. You've got Wigan. If them keep their team, them finish 16th or something. If they didn't have the 12-point deduction, if them keep their team together,
I don't think they will. Then.
Hull City's team, are them all right? Yeah, maybe. Charlton's team. Charlton's got a good team. I mean,
remember, we've got like another new signing as well. Like Elliot Embleton's like another new signing.
And that Jack Diamond as well.
Exactly. So midfield, for me, we'll get away with midfield all day long. We'll just take the captaincy off Max Power.
Do we have do we have depth though in midfield?
No,
Depth, like,
no. We still need players out wide. I think we lack in width, I would say.
Right, can I quickly jump in then, lads, because we are running out of time. Couple of things on the chat again. Nigel Dunn again, going back to William's story, and he says he's linked with West Ham, so he's not without help with Gold and Sullivan. Now, yeah, but Jacob, imagine what the end of season video is going to be like.
What, when we finish 20th in League One and we've scraped staying up?
No, you're missing the point, Michael. It doesn't matter. Forget it.
Golden Sullivan.
So the final shout I want to give to on the chat is Richard Wiles, who says it doesn't matter who was coming in to buy the club. It could be a sheikh with a fortune of 500 billion. And for some fans, it still wouldn't be enough. And that's how it is. And that's very well said. People are not given a chance, you know, before the, you know, and I go back to at the start when I said, you know, yes, William Story may be a charlatan, he may be, but what if he is the real deal? Then, you know, just not given a chance. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks, lads. Thank you, Jacob, the Mad Mistake. Dino, back again. Thanks for that. The Adopted Macklem, who was our guest tonight. Thanks for coming on. Michael Bowers and myself, Wee Philly. We will be back again next Thursday, doing another Thursday Night Live. Please join us then. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. It's free, totally free. Do that. Like the video, leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought. And we will see you all next week. So we'll see you then. Thanks very much. Bye.
Yeah.
How are they, lads?